Hi, Becca.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited that we're doing this. It's going to be so much fun. Are you ready?
I am so ready.
So, for everyone watching, this is Becca. We're going to learn all about her today. Everybody's been loving all of our coach interviews, so we want to just do it for everybody who's accepting new clients, which is just going to be a really cool way for everybody to get a good insight into you and your coaching and your personality. So, let's just dive right into it. So,
Good.
the first question is, where are you located?
So I am located in Houston, Texas. I live in kind of the city area in downtown.
So fun. We have so many Houston girls. I love it.
No.
Okay, and your MBTI type.
So I am an INFP.
Okay, I like that. And then what about your Enneagram?
Enneagram, I am like, let's see, I'm a 3 with a 2 wing. So
Okay.
I tend to be a little achieving, but definitely have that helper, that strength in the helper side of things too.
Yeah, I'm a two wing three, so that's
Oh, are you?
so interesting too. And I was reading like how there's the growth types and the stress types, which just blows my mind. I just think that assessments are so cool in that way because they just give you so much insight and knowledge into personalities and ways of being, which is so cool.
And I always think it's so cool to realize that like you're not the only one that is the way that you are. You know, like you are so unique in yourself, but there are other people that are built up in the same way.
Yep.
And I think that can make you feel, I don't know, more connected to people in a lot of ways.
Totally. Like for us, for everybody to be able to be grouped into nine types, I think that that shows how much we're actually really similar. And I
Yeah.
think, especially in today's age, I feel like we're all just so polarized. So I think that that's a cool way of looking at it by saying, like, we're all so interconnected and have so many things that we can all relate upon if we really like take the time to dig a little deeper into that realm.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. Two fun facts about yourself.
Let's see. Fun facts. I'm actually originally from Ohio,
Okay.
but moved to Houston in 2015, which is kind of fun. I have my puppy, who's my favorite little thing in the world. She's over here.
Oh my gosh, can she make
Come
an
on.
appearance?
This is her. This is the baby.
Oh my
She's
gosh.
she's my favorite. She's the first little thing I had in Houston.
Oh,
So she's my little baby.
she looks like such a sweetie. When
Oh,
dogs,
she's
I
so
think
sweet.
like when dogs have just like the soft ears and just like look so loving, she looks like a cuddler.
She is such a snuggler.
Oh my gosh, what's her name?
Stella.
Stella. Are you making an appearance on Blush? You want to be Blush's mascot?
You totally can be. You'd be so good. I keep trying to bring it up to my work that I really want like a comfort dog to come in. They have not yet me do it. They have not let me do it yet, but we're still hoping for it.
She looks like
But
a sweet dog that would be perfect at that. So.
she really would. Like those little videos of dogs in like drawers and stuff. Like she would, if there was a drawer big enough, she would just hang out there all day. She's so cute.
So
But yeah,
she's
we'll do
like,
those two facts.
she's like, I made my appearance. I need to go take a nap now.
I know.
She's so cute.
She's the best.
I love it. I love that. I have two French bulldogs, so I totally get being a little dog person.
Oh, I love little Frenchies.
They're so wild. They're crazy. Okay, any hobbies that you enjoy doing?
So I really do have a hobby that I enjoy so much, and I've been doing it for like maybe 2.5 years. But I train pretty much full time for triathlons. So I really enjoy that. So I'm pretty consistently biking and running and swimming, and it gives me a lot of like self care. I love the competition aspect of it, and really kind of testing my body.
Yep.
So that has been something that's been really beneficial for me.
How did you get into that?
That's a good question. So I have been an athlete my whole life. I played soccer through my college years and into my adult years. And then my whole family is pretty active and a little crazy. And so when I was in college, my brother was out of college and he like started doing some more triathlon things. So I started seeing it and being at races and really loving the environment. of the race, like kind of the atmosphere. And so then once I realized I was kind of phasing out of soccer, some because of my body, some because I just wasn't at the level that I wanted to be competing at. So then I started taking up triathlons. I did my first Olympic maybe like a couple years ago, and then I started getting into more of the Ironman distances, which is really cool. And then it was, what I love so much about it is it helps me because I do on my professional side, my full-time job is a little bit more traumatic. I work in child trauma. And so started realizing that triathlons was really helping me sustain who I was, because when I first started the job, I felt parts of me started like getting jaded and almost slipping away, where triathlons and training and doing some of that more therapeutic movement really preserved who I am and who I want to be. Yeah. And so then I just, game was over. Like I loved it and just have continued doing it for a couple years now.
That's so cool. I think that that's so important, especially with the work that you do. It's so dramatic and so much that I feel like if you're not super careful about taking that time for yourself and really finding an area that is completely separate from the work that you do, it can be so heavy. So I'm so glad that you have that. And I don't know if I told you, but I used to volunteer at the Ironmans.
Yeah.
And I was which is crazy because I'm literally 5 foot tall, and they put me as the catcher.
Oh my gosh.
Time. And you know, the people, when you finish that race, you collapse. Like your body is past the point of exhaustion. And so every time that I volunteered there, they would put me as the catcher, and I'm like, I am weak. I am not strong enough to catch all these people. But it was just so inspirational, and you could see like the fire in the people's souls once they finish that line. That's so cool. I'm like so impressed by that. Maybe I'll come volunteer at one of the ones that you do. That'd be fun.
That would be so fun. Yeah, it's super cool. And the people you meet that do this kind of stuff are really, really inspirational too. And everyone has their own story, and it's very neat.
Yeah, it's like its own little community, which
it really is, definitely.
Super cool and super important to have. So cool. I love that. Okay. Favorite book for yourself and one that you would recommend to clients?
That's a really good question. So my favorite book, it's kind of between two. I really love a book called The Glass Castle. Have you heard of that book?
No, I think I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
It got turned into a movie not too long ago, but it's really the story it's a true story of this girl that writes kind of her autobiography about growing up with mentally ill parents. And her dad had a pretty erratic mental disorder, and he had a hard time maintaining a job, and they were always like fleeing from CPS and moving to different places, and he was always promising his kids like he's going to build them a glass castle. But his kids grew up out of the school system, but were all like wicked smart and read a lot, and just it's this whole story of how they really ended up being successful even with this pretty traumatic past. Yeah. In the very beginning of the book, the writer is leaving like this really expensive restaurant. She realizes she sees a homeless woman like digging through the dumpster, and she realizes it's her mom. And so she's leaving with her husband, and then it kind of starts this whole story. It's really, really cool, really sad, but really, really cool. So I love that one. And then my other favorite would be The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog, which is by Dr. Bruce Perry. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And I think those books, I think the reason I love them so much is because it shows like trauma is really in the eye of the beholder, and anything that you go through can be insanely traumatic, but there's always healing as an option. And I feel like both of those books really display that in a really incredible way. I think a book I would recommend to clients could be, there's a book called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. And it's really interesting. My mom gave it to me, which I felt like was a little bit of a sign, but she gave it to me, and it's a therapist that writes it from her own perspective as she's looking for therapy. And she writes about her own clients as well as her experience, and it's a really well done book. And you just kind of learn about other people's struggles and the fact that To me, I feel like it's the most courageous thing to recognize that you need help and you need someone to come alongside and even just be a sounding board. And it kind of demonstrates that bravery from so many different perspectives and so many different stories. So I really like that one as well.
And what was that one called again? Maybe you should talk to someone.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get that one.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's really long, but it's so good.
I'm into it. I'm reading Untamed right now by Glennon Doyle.
Yeah.
Oh, I usually am like a slow reader and really have to like be motivated and committed to get it going. But with this one, I'm just like, wow, like I don't want to put it down. It's so good.
I should get that. I need to get back into reading.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I love it. Okay, so now we're gonna go into coaching questions. These are fun. Okay, so how long have you been with Blush for?
I have been with Blush for a little over a year. I think I started in June of last year.
I think you and I started at the same exact time.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, so fun. It's the best. Okay, so a little over a year. What attracted you to the helping profession? Because obviously you do life coaching, but you also have another full-time job as a helping professional.
Mm-hmm. So my story as a helping professional really started when I was really young. Like I remember my dad always really inspired me to help people, and he always advocated for having an adventure and like making your life an adventure. And so when I was in 5th grade, I went to Romania for the first time. It was the first time I was ever out of the country. Went to this country that really has gone through a lot of trauma and a lot of bad things have happened. And while I was there, we visited like orphanages and hospitals and children's homes and stuff like that. And one of the big things in Romania is they went through a bad dictator who made everyone have kids. If you could have kids, you were made to. He made contraceptives illegal, and so really he created this issue where people were having so many children that they could not take care of, and so like tons of kids just abandoned in hospitals. And we went to one of those wings where there were just abandoned babies, and I remember in my little 5th grade mind playing with this little girl and having her interact with me. And then as I was leaving, I could like hear her start crying. It was the first time in my head that I realized like people are given lives that they don't do anything to deserve. And just that people's stories intertwine in such ways. And I think from that moment, I was really drawn to those stories and to those lives, whether it's childhood trauma that then impacts you as an adult, and realizing that like everything is so interconnected. And so from that point, I really followed that string through a lot of different countries. I lived in Mexico for a while and then eventually moved back to the States and followed child trauma in my life. And what that really taught me is that impact that happens even before you're 18 really does connect to you as an adult. And so really wanting to kind of have that, the best of both worlds of, yes, working with kids, but still having the opportunity to work with women or clients in the coaching aspect, because we're all just trying to work through things in our own time. And to have the privilege to work with someone, I think is the best thing. It's such an honor.
Yeah, I love that. I think that that's such a powerful experience that you had at such a young age. Mm-hmm. And I think too, like I think everybody who's drawn to the helping profession has like some piece of their heart that's just like that person. But I think for you to have that experience and it be such a powerful one, like I think that that's so beautiful, and that's so cool that you carried that through the rest of your life. And it really drew you to this space where you're helping so many people in such a time where, you know, some of them probably don't have any hope anymore. And for you to be that person, I just think that's so important. So I love that you do that. I like can't wait to pick your brain more about everything. Okay, let's see what the next one is. Favorite Blush topics to coach on?
I was thinking about this. I really like a plethora of topics. I think something that I love so much about Callie and kind of her message is this quarter life crisis. Because I really am so passionate about right after school. So it feels like up until college, like all of your paths tend to be pretty much already outlined. You know, like you graduate high school, society tells you to go to college, you go through all your classes, like everything's worked out for you. And then right after that, it's like game over, figure it out.
Yep.
And I think for me was when I really took some tough turns. And so I get really passionate for other people being like, it's okay to try to figure your life out in your 20s. I think there's so much pressure to like automatically be incredibly successful. And if you're able to do that, awesome. But if you're not, that's okay too. So I'm really passionate about quarter life crisis. I think in the same element, like relationships go through a lot in your 20s. And I mean, your whole life relationships are so complicated. So I really enjoy talking to people about relationships and just trying to help them through that. And then just self-love. Like I know that you are also someone that is so big into self-love, but it really is such an important thing. And I think it is the most beautiful thing to watch someone really fall in love with themselves. And then the good that they do to everyone else around them is just remarkable, you know? So I think really finding those things tend to be my favorite.
Yeah, I love that. I think that like young adulthood is such a transformative stage, and I think it's downplayed a lot. And I literally like I'm so big into metaphors, and I feel like it's almost like you just get dropped in the deep end and you're like expected to swim.
Yeah.
And I think what's cool about Blush too is like for the most part, all of our coaches are also experiencing the same life stage at the same time, which I think is such a cool dynamic because like, yes, we get it from a professional standpoint, but we also get it from a very personal standpoint also, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think that having the ability to kind of talk through your own experiences, which is a little bit different than counseling, but being able to be like, hey, I've been there. I know what that feels like, or at least I can feel what you feel is such a value, you know?
Totally. I love that. So important. Okay, what is your favorite thing about coaching?
My favorite thing about coaching is kind of the ability to have a bit of a relationship with your clients too. There's such an aspect of friendship. Like I love the girls that I'm able to help and kind of work with as I coach them, because that's so different than any other relationship that you have. And there's just such a different support in it that I think I really love that freedom in coaching.
Totally. I completely agree. And that's one of the big things that for me kind of like is the difference between therapy and coaching, because you can establish such a deep friendship with your clients. And I think that, you know, even beyond coaching, like they still have you in their life to be able to support them and hear them and get them. So I just think it's like, I love that dynamic of coaching. I think that that's so cool. Okay, best coaching tip for a client who is thinking about joining.
Best coaching tip. That's a good question. I think my best coaching tip is to just try it. I think people have such a stigma with either therapy or coaching that it has to be something that you do for the rest of your life. And it doesn't have to be like that. It can be something that you try for a couple months and it can help you, or if you decide you want to go another path, you can do that too. But to work on yourself is so underrated. I think that we have things for diet and for exercise, and you know, like you have personal trainers and dietitians, and it's so much easier to make those commitments. And then when you talk about like really self-work, that tends to fall on the priority list. But if you're willing to work on all of your outsides, why would you not want to work on your insides? And I think having that open communication with a coach is irreplaceable, and it's worth a try.
I completely agree. And I think along with the stigma that you mentioned, like a lot of people have this idea that something has to be wrong in order for you to seek out this sort of help. And that's just not the case. Like, you know, this is just exactly what you said. Like you go to a dietitian, you go to a personal trainer, you do these things to enhance your life. Like this is the same in the same realm. It's just, you know, we have to keep fighting to advocate against that stigma, which is just, I think we're getting better, but you know, it's definitely a work in progress for sure. Okay, you know, along with the self-love, self-care is totally my jam. So what is your self-care activity? Favorite
What'd you say?
Your favorite self-care activity.
Okay. Favorite self-care activity. I mean, of course, exercise tends to be a big self-care activity for me. I think that kind of the bilateral movement is really helpful. Something that's been surprising is how helpful like swimming is, because it's also puts in a lot of sensory because you have everything kind of wash over you. So those are all really good. I also very much love being able to walk to the park with my pup and my husband, and we just go and walk, and we'll bring some wine and just kind of sit and people watch, and that can be such a great kind of self-care activity. Just to kind of relax and not have to think so much and shut off your brain. So I really enjoy those parts of my life and those opportunities to put in some self-care.
Yeah, I think any time that you can get out in nature and just kind of like detach from your phone and your computer and your day and just be present in the moment with people that you love and your dog, and soak in nature. I think that has such a powerful healing component, just like kind of just like regenerates you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, last coaching question is your favorite quote.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think my favorite quote, and I might not, well, I probably have two really favorite quotes. One is that everybody has a story, and if you listen hard enough, most people's stories will bring you to your knees. I really like that one. I also really like that it is often when we're walking through the carnage left by someone else that you find the most beautiful people. And I think that both of those have such kind of graphic aspects to them, but it's so true that a lot of times that people that do damage to you can also uncover the beauty and the diamond within you. And I think remembering that as we meet everyone and interact with everyone, that people are going through things that you don't see. And it's important to have that grace with each other. And if you're able to give grace to others, then you just create such a more beautiful world that we live in, and Lord knows that we need a bit more kindness in this world. So I really like both of those.
Yeah, I love those. I think those are both very powerful, and I like quotes that speak to the hardships of life but also have like an encouraging and like end on a positive message. I think that you have to find some place in the middle, because you can't just be like all happy-go-lucky all the time. But I think that marrying the two and really acknowledging the pain but also like finding the beauty in it is really powerful. So I love those quotes. Okay, these are the fun questions, which are my favorite ones. So if you could have a dinner party and could invite anyone that you want, who would be invited?
Ooh, a dinner party. Okay. I would invite Dr. Bruce Perry. I think that he's incredible and he's done awesome things in child trauma. I would invite Kristen Bell, who I think is the most adorable human and is just so amazing. So I would invite her. I would invite probably Brene Brown, because I would love to hear her wisdom and just soak it all in. And let's see. Gosh, there's so many people that I would want to invite. And maybe Ellen. I think that Ellen would be a really interesting person to talk to too, and just like her experiences and the people that she has touched, and kind of how she's created such an incredible show that focuses on the good of the world. Ooh, and probably Jim Halpert too. Or no, that's not a real person. What's his name? John Krasinski.
Oh, I'm like,
Jim Halpert. Yes.
Funny. I love that. That's a solid crew. That's like, sounds like the best dinner ever. Have you seen that show that Kristen Bell is in where they're in heaven?
Yeah, The Good Place.
Yes. Oh yes. My, it's so funny. I love it.
It is so funny.
So great.
She's just such a funny person, and she's so genuine and so okay with like putting out imperfection in the world.
Yes, and her marriage to Dax Shepard, like they are so funny, and they are just like, you could tell that they're two peas in a pod. And I can remember him telling this story actually on Ellen, and he was like, she asked like what the best marriage tip that he had was, and I guess he said that for the first part of their marriage he would always get so frustrated with her because she left all the cabinets and drawers open. Like she would open it and then just leave it open, and then he would get so annoyed because he'd have to go and like yell at her and be like, can you not just like close the cabinets and drawers? Like it's not that hard, it literally takes no effort.
Yeah.
And he was like, after 5 years of starting fights about closing the cabinets, I just realized like I can just go in and close them right after her because she's never going to change. So is it like really worth starting an argument every single time, or should I just like look internally of like what I can do? Like that's not that big of a deal. And so that stuck out to me because my husband leaves his cabinets open all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna shut these and pull a Dapper Shepherd and not have to worry about it. But I think that their relationship and their family dynamic is just so cute. I love them.
I love them too. I think they're so cute. And I think they're so willing to like kind of what I said, like put out imperfection, because I think they're really vocal about some of his addiction issues and how that was tough in their marriage. And I just respect people that don't always put on a front that they're perfect, because we know that they're not.
Totally. There's so much pressure too, but I like to be brave and courageous and go against that and really be raw and vulnerable with the reality of life. I think that that's, so admirable. Okay. What is one thing you cannot live without?
Probably coffee. I have coffee every day. It's my favorite thing. It's such a good, that could probably be a self-care thing too. It's such a good part of my routine every morning to just kind of wake up and have some coffee.
Do you drink black coffee, or are you in like the too much coffee creamer crew that I've started? I'm the queen of.
I do mostly black coffee. I do have like vanilla almond milk that I froth up and put on so that I feel like I have a little cappuccino every day.
Oh, nice. I need to invest in a frother. I've always seen people use them and they just look so fun.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have to get that. Okay. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
I would be, let's see, what's it called? When you, like a transporter, like when you can go from one place to another, I would be that.
Yeah. Let's add on, and if someone's like holding on to your hand, they get to come with you.
Yeah.
Who wants to go? That would be so helpful in these days with COVID, for sure. Okay. What or who inspires you the most? I like this one.
I would say probably my mom. My mom is also a counselor. She's an LPC, and she is just the most gentle and strong woman in this whole world. My dad describes her as stainless steel wrapped in velvet, which I think is like the most beautiful kind of image. And that's totally how she is she's someone that is so strong and can endure everything, but she is the most gentle human that you will ever meet. And so she really inspires me and reminds me to just be kind to everyone and just give everybody a chance. Like that's just who she is.
Oh, I love that. Do your parents live in Houston too?
No, they actually live in Ohio. So my whole family lives in Ohio. So I miss them quite a bit.
You get to go back and visit often?
I do, probably once a quarter. I end up seeing them probably every couple months, 3 or 4 months, which is good.
That's good. I love that. Okay, last question. What makes you feel most empowered?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Most empowered. I think when I know that I have done a really good job, whether that's in kind of my professional life and being able to have a really good interview with a kid and have them kind of lay the foundation where they can really tell their story and tell it well, and know that I created an atmosphere that made them comfortable. That makes me feel really empowered. I think also being able to talk with my girls and knowing when they kind of make breakthroughs and being able to be a part of that is so amazing and can make you feel just on top of the world. I love that too. And even in kind of a performance set of things, if I have a really good performance kind of physically in any of my triathlon stuff, that I always feel really empowered with that too.
Yeah, I love all of those. Those are all really great. I'm curious when your next triathlon is.
So I did have one in October 11th, but it was canceled, which is a bummer. And it sounds like most of the races in 2020 are going to be canceled. So instead, I told you my family's kind of crazy. But in October, they're going to throw me my own Ironman, which will be awesome. And I'll do all of the distances that are supposed to be it. And they'll go like different parts with me. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh my gosh, they're so supportive.
They are so supportive. They're the best.
So amazing. I'll make a sign and send it to them so that they can hold it up.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be crazy, but so fun. So awesome.
Well, I love that. It was so nice to get, I mean, I've known you, but it's so nice to like get to know you a little bit more and figure out all these questions. So I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time and awesome questions. And it's so good to chat.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you later, Becca.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.